Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined, as always, by the man who has a little tiny He-Man figure that he hides under his floorboards, and he likes to take it out and cuddle it whilst listening to Tommy by The Who. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I was really worried about how you were going to introduce me, given today's subject matter.
Well, because we have to be on our very best behaviour today, Greg, because we have a guest. And we're doing a special episode today brought to you as part of the Scottish Podcast Network Collaboration Week. And we are joined today by the wonderful Marti from the incredible podcast Mums, Mysteries and Murder. How are you today, Marti?
Hello, that was an amazing introduction.
Oh, well, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
So it's only half. It's only half of the Mums, Mysteries and Murder. Sadly, the Scottish half has not been able to join us.
That's such a shame.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that Effie couldn't join us. And obviously, Greg and I have listened to your podcast, and I absolutely love it. Some of the episodes you've done are just brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed the Loch Ness Monster episode as well. It was so good. But for our listeners that haven't listened, why don't you tell us a little bit about the podcast?
Okay, so we are a Scottish and Australian, as you probably guessed from my accent, I'm the Australian half, and we cover true crime, much like thousands of other podcasts seem to do, but the difference is one of us is Scottish, Effie, who covers Scottish true crime and mysteries, and I cover the Australian part of true crime and mysteries. There is a lot of mysteries in Australia that I didn't even know about.
And that's what's good, I think, about as you say, there's so many true crime podcasts out there, but I particularly like the ones like yours, which it's not just about murder and it's about mysteries as well. I think that's why I know, like, you guys cover like the Loch Ness Monster, for example, things. So it does add a little extra element to it. And of course, given the Australian element as well, that's brilliant. So how long have you been in Scotland?
I've still got the accent. I do still sound very Kath and Kim. I am aware. So I'm just going to put that out there before I tell you. But I have been here in Edinburgh since 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know. It's a long time for this accent, isn't it?
Basically a local then, of Edinburgh.
Yeah, pretty much. My little boy sounds like a proper Edinburgh local because he was born here. So he sounds very posh compared to me.
So of all the episodes that you've covered so far, what's been your favourite episode that you've done? What would you recommend people should listen to?
Do you know what? I keep telling people this one as well because it's a little bit different. And I think when people think about true crime, people are that love it. They really love it. They're really into it. They can tell you 100 facts about Jeffrey Dahmer that you don't want to know. Or they're really, I don't know about that. It sounds a bit gruesome. So I really like an episode we did recently, which was about the Overton Dog Bridge, which is actually a bridge where lots of dogs have jumped over and killed themselves.
Right. Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't listen to that one because I read the description, and as a dog owner and dog lover, I was like, I don't know if I want to listen to this. This is maybe a bit much for me, but
I don't think it's still happening though. I don't think it's still happening. So someone from another podcast that lives just near there, they actually walk their dog there all the time. And it's a beautiful spot. And their dog hasn't jumped over, so it's okay, fine. But it's sort of like a more, this is really going to offend all the dog owners. It's sort of like a more light-hearted episode than our usual episode. Yeah.
I see. So
we do go off the track a lot anyway, don't we? It's not that serious.
So you make fun out of the poor dogs killing
themselves?
No! That's what I'm getting from this.
So mean. Gonna get hate mail.
No, but you've covered some brilliant topics. As I say, that I particularly loved there was the World's End murders as well that you did.
I loved that, yeah. And I didn't know anything about the World's End except for the pub.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I was going to say to you, when I listened to your Burke and Hare one,
yes,
there's a good Burke and Hare film that is actually available on YouTube from the 1950s called The Flesh and the Fiends. And it's got Donald Pleasance, the doctor from Halloween, and Blofeld and James Bond, he's in it. And Billy Whitelaw, who plays the Craze mum in the Spandau Ballet Craze film from the 1990s. It's really good. It's available on YouTube. It's well worth a watch.
Oh, wow. I've not heard of that, but it does sound a bit more ghoulish than the one that Effie recommended with Simon Pegg. I still haven't watched that.
Yeah.
It's on the list.
The Simon Pegg one's a bit of a sort of knockabout buddy film, which is with Christopher Lee in it, which is really weird.
Oh, it's a weird choice for Simon Pegg, I think.
His wife is from Scotland, so any chance to do a Scottish accent, he'll take it. That's how he got the Star Trek gig.
Oh, of course,
It's a bit painful, his Scottish accent, though, I think.
Yeah, well.
Isn't it? That's putting it nicely. I'm not Scottish, so I can't be too offended on anyone's behalf.
So how do you pick the subjects that you're going to cover? Is it just something that's interested you? Pretty much. Like I know a lot of people will notice we haven't covered Ivan Milat. I think that's because it's just so gruesome, and it's probably about 6 episodes to cover what actually happened. And I think everyone kind of knows about him now with the Backpacker Murders and Belangolo Forest. So we sort of try and pick episodes that a lot of people don't know about or aren't as common. And we do have listener requests as well, which is really good. I mean, if they request Ivan Milat, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and do Ivan Milat, am I? But yeah. That's the thing. It is good because, I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there, covering the famous ones, but it's more interesting to hear about things that you don't know about and that you maybe haven't heard about. They're always the more fascinating. And especially when you listen to them, you think, how did I not know about this? This is insane.
Yeah.
Topics like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, sometimes we do find really interesting, like I'd never heard of the dog breed ever before Effie mentioned it. And my husband actually requested one about it's known as the Crucifix Man. I'd never heard of that. And it was really interesting. It was pretty gruesome, but I'd never heard of that one either. So it's really, and because I've been gone for so long now from Australia, there are a lot of things that have happened since I've lived there that I've never heard about. So I'm always sort of find things. But yeah, it's been really interesting.
So what sort of inspired you and Effie to start doing the podcast?
I had been a true crime fan for years since Serial, which is the one everyone listens to. I'm a cliche. I'm a certain aged woman who's really into true crime. And Effie was really into mysteries. And we'd known each other for years, and we were constantly WhatsApping each other like over lockdown. And she'd just WhatsApp me and just put OMG and nothing else for like 10 minutes. And I'd be like, and what? Are you going to tell me something? And then she'd send me a link, and it would just be a link to like 5 people were buried under snow in Russia in 1854. And, this is, so we were always messaging each other to tell each other about random things. So I was like, why don't we just do it? I mean, Effie was not keen. I'm not going to lie. This is not a big secret. She still doesn't know how many downloads we've had or things like that because...
Oh, okay.
She is very aware of people listening, oh, people are listening to my voice. It's scary, but there's so many podcasts and it's fine. And, it's a different element because we're not as serious as others. We realize it's very sensitive information we're talking about, but we do try and keep it lighthearted. So it's a little bit, different to others. And I think the Scottish and Australian things are really nice to me.
It's the relationship the two of you have that you can immediately pick up on, and that just puts you so much ease. I've listened to a couple of murder podcasts where it's effectively you could tell someone's just reading a Wikipedia page and there's no animation in their voice, but the relationship the two of you have and the way you bounce off each other and little personal stories that you tell as well, that's what I think really makes the podcast. That for example, the Burke and Hare one, you were telling a little story about a hotel that you'd worked in for one day. And, that's the thing, you can kind of relate to that and you can picture that in your head, where it is. And that really helps, I think, in terms of covering a very serious topic, but sprinkling it with a bit of lightheartedness and something that people can relate to as well.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Yeah, we're very different, I think, as well. We're similar, but we've got very different personalities. Effie does like a lot of history. I'm not so keen on the history either. But yeah, we're similar, but we're very different. So I think, it kind of works.
Very good. Well, yes, we fully recommend Mum's Mysteries and Murder, and we'll be playing a clip later on. But yes, there is a reason, of course, that we got you onto the show, because we thought that it would be a very good mix in terms of our two podcasts. So we're going to be talking about something very special later on in the show. But before that, we like to have a look at what's been happening in Scotland over the last week, Marti. And again, we're on our best behaviour this week. So we've picked some nice news stories that aren't too bad. There's no wanking truck drivers or poop.
Oh, I'm disappointed.
In fact, that's a good story. We did a story on an episode, I can't remember, it was quite early, and it was about a gentleman who was a truck driver and he was caught pleasuring himself in front of his truck.
In front of his truck?
In front of his truck. He was just in a car park, stood in front of his trunk. He was stood in front of his truck, holding his trunk and enjoying himself. Now, this led to, the reason I'm telling you this story is because we started talking about famous truck drivers, and I looked up a link of, and this was a genuine trucker enthusiast website, professional website. It was like This Trucker or something. And they had a list of the top 10 famous people associated with truck driving. And it was stuff like Chris Eubank, for example, he used to drive a big truck. And I can't remember the most list, but number one, I shit you not, was Peter Sutcliffe.
I knew you were going to say that. As soon as you said that about celebrities, I'm like, Peter Sutcliffe's going to be in there. Number one, though.
Yeah, he was number one.
Disturbing. Do you remember who else was in the list? Because that's quite a big, from Chris Eubank to Peter Sutcliffe, isn't it?
I can't remember.
I don't remember now.
God, see, people like the true crime. You got to give them what they want.
They certainly do. Yeah, certainly do. But yeah, Peter Sutcliffe, good old Peter. Yeah. Anyway, never mind. So we're on our best behaviour.
Good old Peter, who is he's never been referred to as good old Peter since before 1983, I don't think.
I think I did accidentally call him Uncle Peter on that episode or something. I'm not sure. Maybe. Anyway, so we're on our best behaviour this week. We've got that out of the way. So no more of that. Right. So shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland in the last week?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, so, right, so Greg, I think I'll let you go first this week in terms of, and then we can ease Marti into the news story. So, what have you seen this week in Scotland that's been happening that you would like to share with myself and Marti and our lovely listeners?
Okay, so my first story is about a guy who got caught wanking in a mortuary. I thought it was. No, it's not really. It's not really. So it's a much nicer story. So my story, it comes from the Scottish Sun on the 23rd of November. The headline is "Udder Arrest. People in hysterics after cop sees stolen milk haul, but everyone is distracted by the hot cop." So Scots were left in stitches after cops shared the moment they swooped on alleged milk thieves, because that's a thing. But the picture has left everyone distracted. An image posted on the Glasgow North Police Twitter account shows an officer standing in front of more than a dozen frozen milk cartons with his arms crossed after they were seized. He's looking pretty pleased with himself. Maybe it's his first. It's his first big bust. Cops confirmed 2 people have been charged over the alleged theft of numerous milk cartons and other crimes of dishonesty in the Milton area of Glasgow. But thousands of people couldn't help see the funny side of the stolen milk haul. Social media users took to the comments to share their amusement over the officer's stern look in the photo, and some were even left gushing over the man in uniform stashing good looks. One person wrote, "Is the suspect under arrest?" But it was just there, that one. It was a bit easy, wasn't it? Another one said, "That copper's fit. I'd show him my udders." Yeah, I like that one. And a third one, and another joked, "My milkshakes bring all the criminals to Scotland Yard." Quite a clever one.
Very good.
So the picture's now gone viral, racking up more than 14,000 likes and 1,300 retweets in less than 24 hours. A statement from Police Scotland read, 2 persons have been charged and will be reported to the Procurator Fiscal for numerous thefts of milk and other crimes of dishonesty in the Milton area of Glasgow. I mean, it's going around nicking bottles of milk. And what are you going to do with it? Why should you have stolen it? Elsewhere, in a separate incident, we told how a man was caught on CCTV stealing a carton of milk from a doorstep in his slippers in Livingston. Not in Livingston, in Ballarnock in Glasgow. So there's obviously like some epidemic of milk theft going on in the second city of the empire at the moment. But I'll put this picture on our Instagram page because he does look quite pleased with himself, this policeman. You can tell us, Marti, in the comments if you think he's...
Well, I was going to say...
He's a good-looking guy or not.
I hope you are putting a picture of this on your Instagram because everyone's going to be rushing to Twitter now, like trying to Google this guy to see how hot he is.
This just sounds to me a bit like Get Duked with the bread thief.
Oh, yeah. That's a bit,
There was a film we covered a while ago called Get Duked, and one of the the kind of subplots is that there's a thief going around stealing everyone's bread, and no one has any bread. Beautiful speech about no ciabattas, no tea cakes. So someone's been just going around nicking all this milk. And as you say, what are they doing with it?
No idea. No idea. It reminded me of our Dalkeith milk-powered DeLorean that we had, remember, in an old episode.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I've no idea. I mean, my granny used to live in Milton when I was a wee boy before she moved to Hamilton Hill. I don't know if that was a downgrade or an upgrade, to be honest. Perhaps a lateral move from the Milton to Hamilton Hill. But yeah, I've got no idea. There's like a black market for milk in Glasgow at the moment.
It's a genuine question, Marty. In Australia, and I know you haven't been there lived there since 2006, but would that have been a thing back in the day? Did people deliver milk to your doorstep?
Yeah.
Or,
my cousin, her husband actually was a milkman in the 80s. I think it was early 90s. And he would come around on like a milk cart.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a horse. I'm not that old.
No, I didn't mean that.
Van. Yeah, no. I was just thinking in my head, I am quite old, but I don't think it was a horse. I had to think about that. The 80s, who was driving a horse in the 80s? Okay, it's been a very long week. He used to deliver the 80s, early 90s. He used to come and deliver milk. And where I actually live in Edinburgh is a very, don't know how to say this, middle class sort of area of Edinburgh. There are a few people that still get milk delivered, and they have the glass milk bottles out the front of their house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I was quite surprised when we were back in Aberdeen earlier this year. Greg, our mutual friend, he gets his milk delivered to his doorstep, which I found quite strange. I was like, really? But surely you're passing the shop every day. I mean, it's great. It keeps the milkmen in work and keeps them, it's another job and stuff. And I guess during COVID, especially, that I think I did read that actually during COVID, milk deliveries rocketed because people couldn't get out, of course. But it does lead to, people going to steal it. So is it encouraging crime, getting them up delivered?
It's only milk. Who's going to steal milk? I mean, obviously people are going to steal milk. But
yeah. Well, I used to deliver the milk when I was like 13 or 14. I used to work in the milk float. And like the biggest risk to milk in those days was starlings pecking the foil lids, pecking holes in the foil lids because the light would shine off them. Or in the winter, if you didn't get your milk in quick enough, especially up in Aberdeenshire, it might freeze. You have to defrost it before you could drink it.
Didn't Sean Connery deliver milk? Wasn't that his thing?
Yeah.
To festivals, apparently.
He was.
People like to talk about that in Edinburgh.
Yeah. I think
Sean Connery being an amazing... The only good thing to come out of Edinburgh, and he delivered some milk.
It must have been the biggest milk round in history because there's a certain generation of people in Edinburgh will claim that Sean Connery delivered their granny's milk. It's all over the city.
Is he the most famous milkman, Sean Connery? Do you think?
Benny Hill.
Benny Hill.
Benny Hill. Did he deliver milk?
No, but he had a song. He had a song. He had a song. I can't remember the character's name, but it was the fastest milk cart in the West or something like that. It was like it was like a UK number one in the 1960s.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Benny Hill, but I don't think that song ever made it over here. We never had Mr. Blobby in Australia either, so.
Well, you dodged a big pink spotty bullet there.
I think we definitely did.
Anyway, well, look, that was my first story this week.
Wonderful. Okay, well, Marty, what have you seen in the news this week that you'd like to share with us?
I did see a lot of boring things about squirrels breaking into people's houses, and apparently that's newsworthy, jumping into their bath. So I did struggle, but I have found a suitably lovely Christmas one for December, which I thought was quite fitting. So it's in Glasgow, a barber's called Toad, which is an interesting name for a barber's. They have actually made their own Home Alone commercial to raise money for gift for a local school. So it is such an amazing commercial. I'm going to have to actually send you the link so you can put it on your Instagram. It's a bit like it's 2 minutes, and the first minute is a bit naff. I was a bit like, why is this news I'm watching? It's just all people getting their hair cut. There's the Christmas song from Home Alone, and then a little boy gets locked in the toilet, and then he comes out and does all the Home Alone stuff, and it's amazing. It's so good for an amateur barbers to have done a proper Home Alone commercial. There's so much effort. Although at the end, when the robbers come, I mean, I'm giving it away, but you get the idea.
It's okay, we know how Home Alone ends.
So when the robbers come, I was like, isn't that the guy that was cutting his hair earlier? I mean, come on. They could have upped their budget a little bit for a bit of prosthetics and, bit of that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't be expecting a proper Home Alone. It's like a brief glimpse of Home Alone. But they did such an amazing job, and they are like gifting gifts. They're donating gifts to a local school to help with people who don't, have a lot of money to give their kids a proper Christmas. So I thought that was really lovely and, very suitable for December. But I wanted to ask you both, what is your favourite Christmas movie?
Funnily enough,
I think that's a no.
I told a story on the podcast that we recorded last week, which will be out next Thursday. But I think I cut it out actually of the main part because I went to cinema to see Home Alone, and I think I'd maybe seen it one more time until I met my wife, who I've been with for 7 years, and I've never watched Home Alone so much. She makes me watch it every year at least twice. But as I was saying to Greg last episode, because my wife's German, so it's not called Home Alone in Germany. It's called Kevin is Home Alone. So every year we have to watch Kevin is Home Alone, and then we have to watch Kevin is Alone in New York.
It sounds like a Biff and Chip book, doesn't it?
I don't mind it. I don't mind Home Alone, but I wouldn't say it's my favourite. My favourite is it's the Christmas film that is open to massive debate. It's Die Hard is my favourite Christmas film.
I've never seen Die Hard.
Oh, no. Okay, well, it's been lovely having you on the episode, Marti. What? You've never seen Die Hard?
My husband tries to make me watch it every year. And now that my little boy's of a certain age, I think it might be this year that I'll be forced to watch it. But I can't get started.
It's wonderful.
It's loosely based at Christmas. It's an action film. It's a way for men to say that they like Christmas movies, and then they add that in because it's loosely based at Christmas.
You've never seen it, so you can't possibly.
I've seen bits of it. I have seen bits of it.
It's set at a Christmas party. It's a Christmas tree. It has a Christmas jumper at one point.
It has Alan Rickman.
It ends on Let It Snow. So, that's the song, the closing credits. So, no, it's definitely a Christmas film. I would recommend it. Other than that, Gremlins, probably. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good. Do you know what? We watched that again for the first time, probably the 90s, I think, last year. And we were like, this is such a good movie.
Oh, it's class.
So funny. The second one's good. I really like the second one.
I do, yeah. It's good. Yeah. I think it's a Christopher Lee in it as well, the second one, isn't it? The scientist.
Yes. Has he ever played a normal person in a normal movie? I don't think he has.
The Wicker Man is perfectly normal.
That is terrifying, that movie, isn't it? I watched that after being here for a year because I'd read about it, and I was just looking at my husband like, what is this? What is this movie? I don't understand what's going on. But then at the end, I was like, I loved it.
Yeah, it's unsettling. It's got Britt Eklund's stunt arse in it, isn't it? Because Rod Stewart didn't want her to take her clothes off in the film.
Oh, no way.
For the dancing bit, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. You can hear more facts about the Wicker Man like that on our episode of the Culture Swally. We covered it last year.
Oh, I need to go back and listen. I didn't realise you'd done a Wicker Man. I'm on it. I'm on it today.
What about yourself, Greg? What's your favourite Christmas film?
So I've got two daughters. I mean, they're getting older now, like they're 14 and 12, but we've got a bit of a tradition of watching Home Alone on the 23rd of December and then Home Alone 2 on the 24th of December. So I mean, I only watch it once a year, so I do quite like revisiting Home Alone. Probably not my favourite Christmas film. Like Gremlins is well up there, but even I like It's a Wonderful Life as well. I know it's a bit cliched, but I like it.
It's a Wonderful Life. It's amazing. James Stewart is one of the best actors that has ever lived.
Yeah, it's really, really
Agreed.
good. I mean, I almost divorced my wife because she didn't enjoy it as much as I
I can get on board with that.
expected her to enjoy it. I thought it'd be like a sort of life-changing, sort of affirming moment for her, and it would become her new favourite film. But she was a bit kind of sort of blasé about it. So it was took a while to get past it. I can tell you.
What about yourself, Marti? What's your favourite Christmas film?
I've got so many because I love Christmas.
Oh,
I do love It's a Wonderful Life. I think that's at the top. I think Elf needs to be in there. If you hate Will Ferrell, I can understand people don't like it, but I love it so much, and it's still funny when he goes up the lift.
How can anybody hate Will Ferrell?
Yeah,
I know. How can anybody hate Will Ferrell? He's amazing.
Yeah,
everything he does is amazing. Have you seen the Eurovision film that he did? And he did it in Edinburgh.
No, I haven't seen that. But
oh my God, it's so much better than it sounds.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I might have to watch that then.
Oh my God, it is so good. There is so much brilliantness in that movie. I have seen it 3 times and it's still funny. He is so brilliant, and with a blonde wig, that looks how his hair is supposed to be. It is the most amazing movie. You have got to go and watch it. I never realised how excited I was about that movie until then. Love Actually is another one as well. But I have to fast forward. I have to fast forward the little boy. You know, the little boy who's not little. I have to fast forward all the bits of him and Liam Neeson because he really annoys me.
Is that the little boy who played Malcolm McLaren in the new Sex Pistols thing? What's his name?
Thomas Sangster.
That's it. Yeah.
That's an interesting role choice. He'd be quite good, I think, in that.
He's quite good. He ended up being in Game of Thrones as well, I think, later on. Yeah.
See, I never watch Game.
Yeah,
it's not my thing. I know. Yeah. We're really clashing, aren't we? Do you know what? I'll give you another one that is amazing. Rare Export. Have you heard of it?
I don't think I've seen that. No.
Oh, it's one of the best. It's dark. It's a dark Christmas movie that my 11-year-old hasn't been able to watch yet, but maybe 12, I think 12, 14, Greg, probably they can. There's a bit of, I don't want to give anything away, but there's a bit of nudity that's not attractive nudity. That when you watch it, you'll be like, "Oh, yes, I shouldn't be eating." But it is an amazing, amazing movie. It's from, I want to say, it's Scandinavian.
Yeah,
I don't know where. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, it is so good. You cannot watch it and not like it. It has all the things about Christmas. It's got a little boy, his dad's, like there's always a kid. It's got a little boy in a chunky, Scandinavian Christmas jumper. It's snowing and there's just one parent. You know how there's always just one parent? The dad's really harsh towards him and you feel really sad for him. But then it all goes pear-shaped and it's a bit murdery, but it's like Christmas. Oh my God. It is amazing. It should be in the top 3 best ever Christmas films because it's so unusual, but it's got all the Christmas stuff in it, apart from all the naked, weird shit that happens.
I'm going to add that to my list and I'll watch it. Well, that's a lovely list that you've got there, Marty. I'll have to look out for that. I don't know if I agree with Love Actually, though. It's come on, it's quite problematic as well, isn't it? What, Hugh Grant dancing?
I know, that's very cringy.
Martine McCutcheon is the
She's great
lady.
in it. She is great in it.
Best thing about Love Actually is Keira Knightley.
Yeah, she looks amazing in that movie.
Yeah, she does.
But Andrew Lincoln, that was very enthusiastic.
Oh yeah, I like Keira.
Andrew Lincoln, is he do you think he's a stalker in that? Because that really,
massively. It's his best mate's wife. Like, that's totally out of order doing that.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be too pleased if Nicky was outside my house at Christmas with signs that he'd written to my wife, to be honest. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange sort of plot choice, I thought, that one for Love Actually.
You can see the aspect of, he has to get it off his chest and then he's done. As long as he's done after that, and he's not going to turn up on Valentine's Day. And I don't know. You just know that if he's got a spare key to that house, he's going to be raking through our knicker drawer.
Do you know what? He can come in and rake through my knicker drawer whenever he wants. I love Andrew Lincoln. All the way back since, what was it called? This Life? Ever since then.
Love this.
Genuinely one of the greatest shows ever. I absolutely love it. I keep meaning to watch that again because I've got the DVD box set and I keep meaning to start it again. I've watched that again maybe about 8-9 years ago, and it's just still incredible television. So good.
Yeah.
And
he's
the music
slightly
as
annoying
well.
in it though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a little bit.
But I still liked him. He was better in Teachers. Better in Teachers.
Again, Teachers was fantastic.
Even James Corden managed not to ruin Teachers.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in Teachers.
Just going back to Love Actually, with Nicky and I, there's a good chance that at some point we're going to run out of stuff to talk about, and we might end up doing Love Actually just because Gregor Fisher's in it. There's a tenuous Scottish connection somewhere.
He's great at it as well. Actually, he's very good. Yeah, very
there's
good.
so many good people in it though. Julia Davis, you forget she was in it.
Yeah, that's true.
She's amazing.
She's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That was one thing I took it too far. One night, I made my wife watch Nighty Night.
Oh, it's one of the best shows ever made.
Thank you. She hated it. Absolutely hated it, the first episode. But I genuinely, Nighty Night is up there for me as one of the all-time greats. It's just so bonkers. It's so good.
It's so difficult to watch. but you can't stop watching. When they come in and there's condoms hanging from the ceiling, and I know it off by heart. I've watched it so many times, but it's so awkward. And Jill in the wheelchair, you just want to punch her in the face in every episode. She does that face. I can't remember the actress's name. She's an amazing actress, but her face when she does that sort of...
Is that Dolly Wells? Is it Dolly Wells? Is that
no?
It's what's her name? She's in.
I can see her face. She's in everything.
She's in Alan Partridge. She's in the thick of it.
Yes.
Rebecca Front.
That's
Rebecca
it.
Front. Yeah.
That's it. She's amazing, but she is so annoying in that show. You just want to punch her in the face all the time. That whiny voice. I mean, me saying people have got a whiny voice, I get it, but she's the way the faces she uses, and it's brilliant. It is a brilliant, brilliant series.
Oh, well, wonderful. Well, we've got a good list of Christmas films to watch then. Perfect time in terms of the Christmas. Well, our next episode is our Christmas episode. So we are doing Anna and the Apocalypse. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it.
It's a Scottish musical Christmas film. It's a zombie musical comedy.
You got me more with that than the musical, the Scottish.
No, I think it's meant to be. Yeah, I don't know. It's meant to be okay. I haven't seen it either, but I need to watch it next week for.
That'd be interesting. Right, I'll listen to the episode and then I'll decide if I want to watch it.
Okay.
Even though that will ruin probably watching it, won't it?
Yeah, you know what? Going to spoil it. So
doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Right. Well, I guess then it's just for me. It's my story. Now, this story is genuinely, as we speak, is the headline in the Daily Record. The headline.
Front page.
The front page news. It's the top story. It's got the full banner on the website. So this is from today. Costa staff branded racist after refusing to accept a Scottish banknote from a lorry driver. So, a lorry driver has branded Costa Coffee staff racist after they refused to accept his Scottish banknote. Jonathan Owens was left extremely embarrassed after he attempted to pay for 2 bottles of Coke at a branch in Maidstone, Kent on Thursday. That's where number 73 was from.
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah.
The 46-year-old had been delivering furniture to a nearby doctor's surgery. Not sure why that's important. And he ended up exchanging words with staff who refused to take the money. The driver has vowed never to go back to Costa and sent off a furious email to their head office. He told Kent Live, 2 of us went into Costa in the lorry to get coffees, rolls and bacon, and rolls and sausage, and 2 bottles of Coke. I was only paying for the 2 bottles of Coke. My colleague bought everything else. Fucking, you got off lightly there, buddy, didn't you? He paid for the coffee and the food. I paid for the 2 bottles of Coke, or at least I tried to. That's when they decided that despite it being Costa's policy to accept them, they would instead decide to give me unnecessary grief. The girl on the till refused, and her colleague agreed. And when I asked for the manager, she said, I am the manager. That's your worst nightmare, isn't it? You're in a tiz. Can I see the manager? I am the manager. It's Costa's policy not to accept them. I contested it again, and other people in the queue who are being held up started Googling it and chucking in their opinion. It gets worse. I stood my ground before finally throwing an English £10 note at the cashier saying, take an English one then, but give me the head office address. Now, come on. I will be reporting your racist behaviour. They gave me the email address, and then we left. Jonathan said that the branch staff were ostracising an entire country by refusing the note and labelled their attitude as racist. He added, I was meant to feel like a piece of shit. It's not the first time it's happened to me, but it's the first time it's happened in a while. I felt like a second-class citizen. Well, you were a Scotsman in England, so technically you probably were. I will never go back to Costa. I do not want to have to defend myself in the future. I called them out. I was correct to do so. I know a lot of my friends will boycott it now, and rightly so. The chain has since apologised and confirmed that they do accept Scottish banknotes. A spokesman said, we can confirm that we do accept Scottish banknotes in our stores, including at the store in Langley Park in Maidstone, which is owned and operated by one of our franchise partners. We're sorry that this did not happen on this occasion. We've been in contact with the customer services team and apologise. The team have been reminded that they should accept Scottish banknotes. So, what do you think of... now, my first throwback here with Jonathan is he's tried to give a Scottish banknote. They've said, sorry, we don't accept that. Now, as a normal polite human being. If you have an English £10 note in your wallet, you're just like, oh, shit, sorry. Yeah, look, take this one instead. You don't cause an argument. You're going back up the road to Scotland anyway. It's not like you're left with this monopoly money. You just pay and say, and move
hang on. There's a principle at stake here.
Come on.
There is a principle at stake. But you can't just let them off. I remember being in Worcester and trying to buy fags with a Scottish fiver so long ago. How long ago this was, trying to buy fags for £5. And W.H. Smith's telling me that they couldn't accept it. And I said, but it's sterling. You've got to accept it. You're breaking the law by refusing to accept it. And they said that it might not be worth the same as English sterling. And I was like, but it's sterling. Like, the fact that it's sterling means it's worth the same amount as Bank of England notes. But yeah, they wouldn't have any of it. I had to go somewhere else with my cigarettes.
Terrible. Did you not have an English £5 note you could throw down disgusting and say, have an English one then?
Well, I think even if I did, like a point of principle, you're not having my business, and march out of the store, stamping my feet, slamming the door behind me, go somewhere else. He should call Mary Black and get her to bring it up in the House of Commons at PMQs next Thursday. Ask Sunak what they're playing at in Maidstone.
I mean, it is a common thing. I was listening to a podcast just this week, actually, Wolf and Owl with Ramesh Ranganathan and Tom Davis, and Ramesh was saying that he had to take money out because they were cancelling his card or something, but he was in Scotland and he took out like 200 quid from the machine and he realised, fuck, it's all Scottish notes, because he was coming back to England, and that's the issue he faces. But they were very polite and they were like, you know what? Big shout out to Scottish money, though. It's beautiful. It's so much more impressive than English money. They said that the Scottish £20 note is a work of art. It's so much better than the crappy English notes, and great, but yeah, not if you don't accept it in England. And I know it's been a bone of contention for a very long time in terms of places not accepting Scottish currency, but surely, it's a bit ridiculous. I mean, have you ever experienced anything like that, Marti, in terms of...
It's so weird. I find it so weird. That article is missing the sentence, though, that should have been in there. I think you'll find this is legal tender. Yeah. Isn't that always the thing? Yeah. I just find it really weird. I don't know if it's because I'm Australian and we have different it's not a different country, but it's different areas. But I just find it so weird that one part of the country, the money I get it's different money, but why is there still an issue about this happening? But do you know what I mean? It's all like what you were saying, Greg. It's all money. It's all sterling. So what's the issue? It's so weird. I find it so weird.
I mean, the other question is, who uses cash nowadays anyway?
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's just another example of Westminster trying to keep its boot on Scotland's neck. The funny thing about the Scottish £20 note is it's got Kate Cranston on it, who's famous for opening tea rooms in Glasgow. It's a really strange choice.
Who would you put on the Scottish £20 note?
Billy Connolly.
Okay. Marti?
Oh, yes. Billy Connolly is a great call. I think that's excellent. Yes. Let's go for
note?
That. Yeah.
Yeah. 20
50. Do we still have £50 notes?
I think so, yeah. I mean, 20s,
I live in Scotland. I should know.
What's probably the most commonly used, like a 20 or a 10 nowadays?
Probably
I think
20.
10.
10? Okay. Put Billy Connolly on the 20, yeah.
Do you know who doesn't have a £50 note? The Bank of England.
This is turning into a completely different podcast.
It's turning into a total manifesto.
You should do that, actually. That would be great. And in terms of Scotland, we should have our own coins as well. And just put our famous people on the front of the coins. There's a terms of a fuck you to England as well. You could have little Jimmy Cranky on the 5p.
Oh, God, no.
No?
Billy Connolly is a good call. I really like that because he's so loved by everyone still. There's not to say that there's been so many people that have had a tarnish on their name, but back to Sean Connery again. He is someone that everyone loves. There's there's never been anything about Billy Connolly, and everyone loves him. He's amazing. He's hilarious. He's such a big part of Scottish culture. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Right? I think write a letter, Greg. Get onto it. Get it sorted for us.
I know where my indignation comes from. It comes from an early childhood memory of when I was at primary school in England, and you had to pay your dinner money at the start of the week. And my mum, we had just come back from a weekend in Glasgow. My mum gave me a couple of £1 notes and the teacher came out to collect the money, and he was like, "What's this?" Because they weren't using pound notes in England by then; they had sort of got rid of them. But in Scotland, we held on to the pound note for an embarrassingly long time.
Yeah.
And he was sort of showed it to all the class and made me feel like a bit of a twat. But yeah, so that's why I've got good reason for it to be indignant.
So would you ever boycott a shop because of customer service or like a whole chain? It's not like it's a little independent shop. He's boycotting all of Costa. I guarantee he's not. He's going to cave in a few months. Like when he's
especially if he's a truck. Is he a truck driver?
I think
that was earlier, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was he's a lorry driver. It does say actually, yes, he is. So technically he is a truck driver. So actually, no, I'm not going to.
Isn't he?
You should ask him.
Definitely going to Costa.
You should ask him if English prostitutes accept Scottish notes.
I mean, why is he going to Costa anyway? Why is he not going to like the Wild Bean Cafe at Shell Station or something? You know, he's kind of.
Yeah, a Greg's drive-through.
Yeah.
Maybe he's an upper-class lorry driver.
Maybe.
He only goes to Costa or Starbucks.
Upwardly mobile.
But yeah, would you ever boycott anywhere or a shop or anything just for bad customer service? Or have you ever boycotted anywhere?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Asking both of you. Yeah.
Do you know what? There is a place in Edinburgh that I'm not going to mention, but it's a very good, it is a Mexican restaurant that doesn't leave a lot of them. And it's one of those places that's really well known about in Edinburgh. Everyone loves it. I went there recently. I hadn't been there for years. And the service was just a bit rubbish. I don't know if I'm just old lady, right? It was a Friday night. It was really dark. Okay, I get it. It gets dark. There was neon signs and they were so bright. I had to swap places. This is making me sound so old as I say this coming out of my mouth. I had to swap places with my friend because it was affecting my eyes and I couldn't read the menu because of all the neon, right? But that's not why. That would be ridiculous. That would be like a Weekly Sun article. But the service was so bad and they ended up messing up our bill. They charged us for drinks for the people next to us. We pointed it out. They didn't say sorry. There was no the customer service was so bad. The food was really good. The food was excellent, but the service was so bad and it was just, we were really cramped in and squashed next to people near us. So do you know what? I'm not going back there.
Yeah, quite
Screw
right.
them. Screw them.
Screw them. Yeah.
I used to run a Mexican restaurant in Edinburgh. It's not that one. I used to.
Sure
I was area manager for Chiquito. We were on Frederick Street, but it's been changed into Miller and Carter now, so it's not the same one.
I'll tell you a good Mexican restaurant in Edinburgh, El Cartel. Amazing.
Okay, so we know it's not there.
No, it's not there. Let's not talk about any others.
Process of elimination.
I mean, they're not going to miss me. They're hugely popular and everyone's there on a Friday night. But I think customer service makes such a difference. I would rather pay more for good customer service.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Then,
I agree.
Yeah,
it's what you'll go back for, even if the food's not amazing. You know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on that. Yeah, I don't think I've ever boycotted anywhere as such. I mean, I know I used to work whilst I was at uni. I worked for a restaurant. And we were unfortunately bought over by another restaurant. So I had to work there for like 3-4 months because I knew I was leaving anyway to go for a university work placement. But I had to just stick it out for those few months. So I had to work for an American chain restaurant. I won't name them, but you had to wear red and white stripy top and braces with flair.
You've named them on the podcast before.
Of course I have. Yeah, it's fucking TGI Fridays.
I mean, I think we knew, didn't we?
And I'd never, ever go into one ever again. And I never have. I walked out the door at the end of my last shift and I've never been back in a TGI Fridays. I just couldn't. So I guess that's a boycotting, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I did make it. I remember making a collective choice never to go to a Yates Wine Lodge after going to the one in Aberdeen like for a drink one night, and it was just, I think they were playing DJ Scooter on the stereo. It was just full of absolute fannies, and people were queuing to get in, which was, you know, like when we left, we realised that people were actually queuing to get into this pub, and I was like, it's rubbish. It's better pubs like 20 metres away from here.
Oh, never mind. Okay, well, I think that probably wraps up the news for this week. Does anyone have anything else?
No, that was it for me this week.
No?
Me too.
Okay, wonderful. Right, well, before we move on to what we're going to be talking about on the podcast today, Marti, let's have a little listen to a trailer for Mum's Mysteries and Murder, shall we?
Woohoo! Hi, I'm Marti.
And I'm Effie.
And we would love you to come and join us on our podcast, Mums, Mysteries and Murder.
Each month we take turns telling you true crime stories and mysteries from our places of birth, Australia and Scotland.
I'm covering Australia.
What's your favourite thing about Australia, Marti?
It would have to be the weather and the meat pies.
The meat pies are strong in Australia.
The meat pie game is good.
Really? Oh. I'm covering Scotland.
What's your favourite thing about Scotland?
And macaroni pies and haggis. Haggis balls.
Macaroni. Macaroni should not be in a pie.
Have you tasted one though?
No, I don't need to. It's like Mars bars.
It's amazing. If you love podcasts that are on point, heavily researched and full of gruesome details, that's probably not us.
But if you do love a bit of true crime chat, Netflix recommendations and random banter, we do talk about last meals a lot, don't we?
Yeah, but it's a good topic.
Macaroni pie for your last meal.
Yes.
Meat pie. Then come join us where you get your podcasts, and we would love it if you would subscribe so you don't miss new episodes.
Come and follow us on Instagram at Mums, Mysteries and Murder.
Bye.
Bye.
So, obviously, as we mentioned, we have the lovely Marti on from the Mums, Mysteries and Murder podcast as part of the Scottish Podcast Collaboration Week. So, we thought it would be a wonderful idea to get together and look at something that would appeal to both podcast audiences. So, today, we are going to be looking at the 2020 three-part ITV drama series Des. Starring David Tennant, Daniel Mays and Jason Watkins, the miniseries focuses on the arrest of Scottish serial killer Dennis Nilsen, after the discovery of human remains is found to be causing a blockage in the drains outside his house. So, Marti, we obviously want to discuss the miniseries itself, but also Dennis, who you fondly described on the World's End Murders episode of your podcast as Big Des. So, do you have any fond memories of Des or Big Des?
Goodness, I don't remember calling him Big Des. Do you know what? Because he's one of the, not one of the big five, but, you know, like he's one of the big serial killers that people remember.
Yeah.
Although I was at a networking event during the week and someone came up to me and was talking to me about the podcast and we're talking about Des and saying, you know, I'm going to be covering Des soon. I'm really excited. And this guy come up who was about mid-30s, you know, and he had no idea who we were talking about. And I was like,
wow.
I came home and I said to my husband, people not know who Dennis Nilsen was. Like, I know not everyone's interested in true crime, but if you're of a certain age, there's like specific people that I think, you know, like you remember. And like, and like this was such a massive case. I should say as well, he was so not specific looking, but like he was so mundane, wasn't he? Like he was just such a mundane person and so like someone you would pass in the street and not notice. And I heard a psychologist saying recently he was interviewing him to find out if he was mentally stable, which I'm sure we'll get into further down the track, but that he said, you know, there's nothing wrong with him. He was just like a geography teacher. When he walked out, I just thought he was just like and he's so just looks like a geography teacher, doesn't he? And the glasses, and I mean, Effie's just bought glasses. She's going to kill me for saying this. Too bad she's walking around with them. She's bought glasses that look exactly like the glasses David Tennant wears in this, and I had forgotten. Like, I knew he wore the glasses, but when I put it on and watched it this week, I was like, oh my God, I forgot about those glasses. She's just bought them.
They do suit some people, and they did make a little bit of a comeback. I thought it was maybe just a UK thing that we called them a certain type, but I think we were watching The Apprentice a couple of years ago, and one of the contestants had...
Michaela. It was Michaela.
And my wife immediately went, why is she wearing pedo glasses? And...
Yes, we were talking about Michaela just the other day because I was telling my husband about Effie's glasses and saying they're like Michaela's glasses, and I was obsessed with Michaela because she was from the north and everything as well.
The glasses suited her though. She got away with it.
She looked amazing, didn't she?
There are certain people that you can get away with it. So I'm sure Effie will get away with her
We're going to
pedo
put
glasses.
a picture of her with her pedo glasses on her, you know.
I think Dennis gets away with them, to be honest. They quite suit him.
Yeah, they do suit him, I think. And David Tennant is so amazing as, like, you couldn't throw a dart into a group of 1 billion people and find someone that is more suited to playing this role than David Tennant. Like, looks-wise, everything.
It must just be like a casting director's dream to find a Scottish actor who wants to play Dennis Nilsen and looks so much like him. It's just
much like
unbelievable. Like, genuinely, when I saw because obviously the mugshot of Nilsen is so famous, and when they first released the image of Tennant as Des, it was like, what? Like, that's insane how much he looks alike. It's just crazy.
He's insane. And he's so good for this role because he looks like him, he sounds like him. There's nothing been done to his face physically, but it's just him. And it's almost like, I think because David Tennant is so I love David Tennant. He's so charismatic and he's so full of energy in lots of his roles, even like in Broadchurch where he's like, you know, quite different and somber, but you can still feel his energy. But in this, it's like a completely stripped back version of David Tennant, and like they've taken everything out of him, not even just the colour from his face. They've taken all the bits of personality out of him and all his charisma, and he's perfectly Dennis Nilsen. It is incredible.
Even like his accent, you know, sort of coming from Aberdeenshire. Like where I used to live just outside Aberdeen, where I mentioned a few minutes ago, my parents are moving back to this little village called Maud, just near Peterhead, which is not far from Fraserburgh, and the accent that he does is it's, you know, like he doesn't use a lot of the sort of Doric words that they use up there, but the tone of his accent is pitch perfect.
It is. It's incredible. And I watched the Nielsen Files that was recently released to Netflix. And it's tape recordings of, I'm sure lots of people have watched it, Dennis Nilsen. And yeah, you're right. It's just the exact words, you know, the same tone, just everything is so spot on. He's so incredible for this. He's so brilliant. And I think it must be so hard as an actor to play someone that's so, not nothing, but just so calm and just, you know, not even in a psycho sort of like Jeffrey Dahmer way, sort of like it's just so average and so normal and just so like boring. I want to say almost boring, but he does it so well, doesn't he?
And that's the thing, I think, because he obviously got a lot of critical acclaim. You know, he won a BAFTA for the performance and everyone just raved about it. I did read a couple of reviews that said he's not that great because he doesn't really do much. He's just this dull. And I'm like, do you know how difficult that probably is for an actor to do that? Because you're acting, you want to kind of not go over the top, but to be so subtle and stripped down. And I watched an interview with Daniel Mays, and he said, like, Tennant took it like really seriously. Like, he actually stayed away from a lot of the police cast whilst filming because he didn't want to, you know, he wanted to keep that kind of air of mystery and about it. And there was a scene that was actually cut where Des had to sign a document, and David Tennant had perfected Dennis Nilsen's signature. Like it, when you compared them, it was identical, and it was cut, unfortunately, out of it. But Daniel Mace was just amazed, like the level this guy will go to absorb the role, even just perfecting his signature. Who's ever going to know if he just scribbles? But Tennant was so determined to just really capture the essence of Nilsen that he went to those lengths. And he's just an astounding actor, and he's just incredible in this.
Yeah, he is amazing. And I'd heard that he'd read like all the ramblings, I want to say, because he was a lunatic. But David Tennant like read all the notebooks that Dennis Nilsen had written in jail. And there was something like 15 notebooks that he had to go through. And, you know, and he watched so many tapes and videos and everything to get into the character, but it just must be such a dark place. Can you imagine reading 15 notebooks of what that lunatic has written after what he did? It would just stay in your head, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that.
I always wonder as well for actors when they get the opportunity to play like a real person, like, you know, whether it's someone like Dennis Nilsen or somebody a bit more virtuous, but, you know, to sort of make a decision to play such a prolific serial killer who had only died a couple of years before the show came out. I think I read he died in 2018.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you read the details of his crimes and when they describe it on the show, I mean, it's horrendous. So I wonder, you know, if with someone like David Tennant think, well, by playing this character, what does it maybe mean for future role? Because I guess it could go either way. You know, if he does, you know, it might turn some people off him. You know, he's he's probably most famous for playing Doctor Who, and he's come back to play Doctor Who for a couple of more shows before the new Scottish Doctor Who starts. Well, obviously David Tennant's Scottish as well, but you know what I mean. And so is Peter Capaldi. So I don't know what I'm getting excited about, but
you always forget Sylvester McCoy, don't you?
Oh yeah, so it's Sylvester McCoy. Yeah. So like for him, obviously he's fantastic in this role. But then would you think, well, I might not get picked to play a more family friendly role in the future because of it or whatever? So like it's a bit of a leap, I mean, and obviously it's not done him any harm because he was in Good Omens before.
That was amazing, wasn't it? They just filmed that in Edinburgh, a bit of that, I think. I was trying to stalk him because I'm obsessed with Michael Sheen as well.
It was really, really good. But obviously it's not done his career any harm because he's come back to Doctor Who and he's got some other stuff that he's done since this came out.
I think Tennant, he already broke the mold after Doctor Who because that is one of the probably biggest roles that will pigeonhole you and you'll always be known as Doctor Who. And he left that and he has done so many roles in terms of, as we say, in terms of like Broadchurch, for example, a completely different role. And he's done like comedy things like The Decoy Bride. And he's done, the animated Pirates film and things as well. And he's just done so much. And, to play Des, it's not going to harm him at all. I mean, his next role, which is, I think, again, an ITV miniseries that I'm looking forward to is, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's Litvinenko, the Alexander Litvinenko.
Oh, the poisoning.
The poisoning.
Oh,
and
yes, I've heard of this,
And he's playing Alexander. And there was photos released this week of him in the hospital bed with a ball cap. And again, he looks fucking identical to him. He's like a chameleon, this guy. He just, so well. So I don't think this was going to harm his future career anyway. And in fact, I did read that this script for this had been kicking around since about 2016. The director, the writer had actually written it, and they'd sent it to production companies. Nobody was interested. They didn't want to do anything about Dennis Nilsen. And it just so happened the writer and the guy who directed it, they were working with David Tennant on a project, and Tennant read the script and said, I want to do this. The next day it got commissioned because
amazing.
David Tennant had attached himself.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think it does hurt their career. Like Zac Efron did Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Although not many people were that keen on that interpretation of Ted Bundy, but I quite liked it. I thought he was amazing because Ted Bundy, what people forget is he was massively charismatic.
Yeah,
he got people to come to his car.
Yeah.
Like he got people to get into his car. He looked normal. People, this really annoys me. People always say he was good looking. No, he wasn't good looking. It's just that serial killers in the 70s and 80s all look like lunatics, like the Night Stalker. If you see a picture of him, they were all like they'd crawled out of a bin, and he was the best of a bad bunch. And that's why people think he's good looking. No, he's not good looking. But yeah, I think it's a hard thing for actors to take on. It's a lot of responsibility that comes with it because people died and the families and, it's not just a made up zombie movie that you can just go crazy over. You've got a responsibility.
Yeah, and I think as to your point, they have to make sure that they're being respectful to the people whose lives have been affected by him, like victims' families and stuff. Like his portrayal obviously is key, but also how the story's written, how it's produced, how it's directed, how it's presented. I think they do a good job here of being very respectful to his victims and their families.
I think they do a wonderful job, and that's it. You see in terms of Stuart Sinclair's family finding out about his death, and it's so well done, and the way they do Leslie Mead, her character, in terms of her partner, she comes in and reports it gone missing, and effectively they find out that yes, he did kill him, but they can't charge him for that murder because they've already filed, and it would be too much paperwork. The way they handle it is so well done in terms of that, and it's so respectful, and I think that was something that they did really think about in terms of this series. This wasn't to glamorize Nilsen and to make him a character. It was very much focused obviously on the police investigation, but also about the impact of the crimes he'd committed on the families of the people. I thought it really handled it so well and very tastefully done.
Yeah, and they do touch on a lot of the victims personally. Like there was so much around the victims. Obviously they can't go into all the victim stories because it would have been massively long, but even like the small little snippets that they managed to have of some of the victims when they're in court. I know we'll probably come on to that later on, but yeah, it was really lovely the way they did it. And even later on when Brian Masters is talking about the title of the book, I loved that. I know we'll probably come on to that later, but the whole scene with Des where he says to him that, you know, this isn't about you, this isn't glamorizing you. That's why the book is called Killing for Company, which is what Des is based on.
Yeah.
But I found that I loved that scene. I think that was one of my favorite scenes because you could just see the anger in Des's face and just trying to keep himself, you know, the whole narcissistic thing with serial killers as well. And Brian actually saying to him, you know, this isn't about you, this story, this is for people to understand. I loved that. That was one of the best scenes in the whole three-parter.
Yeah, it's really good.
And the title, Killing for Company, is a little... Yeah. Should just be Nilsen.
No.
Why not? The book is about me, after all.
I'm not going to call it Nilsen. This isn't your book. It's not about you. It's about how someone like you came to be. Now, I told you when we first met that I wasn't going to use grisly or emotive adjectives, and I have stuck to my word. But make no mistake, this isn't a celebration. It's a warning.
So powerful. And then, you know, Brian gets up and walks out and you think, well, that's that. And then it comes up, he continued to visit him for the next 10 years.
Yes, that made me so angry. I wanted to throw something at the TV. But do you know what? I actually looked at that. I actually looked to see what they talked about and why did he do that, because it made me so angry. He'd put him in his place. And they did visit for 10 years. But apparently Des got really angry because Brian referred to him or said that he was similar to Jeffrey Dahmer and he didn't like it and he refused to see him after that. And Brian actually went on to write a book about Jeffrey Dahmer and Rosemary West. Yeah. And he actually helped with the screenplay for Des as well. So that's really cool.
I mean, it's annoying because Des is often called the British Dahmer. And Nielsen was around and caught first. So surely Dahmer's the American Dennis Nilsen. That's the way it should work.
More people know about Jeffrey Dahmer, though, isn't it? It's the American Hollywood version of our boring, bland, pale Scottish, big glasses jumper equivalent, isn't it?
So you're saying that Jeffrey Dahmer is like the American Office compared to Ricky Gervais?
Yes,
Dennis Nilsen is the Ricky Gervais one.
You know something? I don't know if either of you have watched the Netflix series Dahmer.
No.
It's genuinely, it is fantastic. It is very good. Evan Peters is just incredible as Dahmer. But it's exactly like that. It's almost like an American remake of Des. Genuinely. It's like The Office kind of comparisons. It's,
I have heard good things about it, but the thing is, people always find it really surprising I haven't watched it because I know so many things about true crime. And I do watch everything. I'm not going to lie, I'm a true crime whore. But I know so much about, I know enough about Dahmer, and I think Dahmer, the story with Dahmer is so bleak and it's so it's all awful. I know there's no light and shade with serial killers, but again, to go back to Bundy as an obvious example, he had the light and shade because he did stupid things, like he escaped from jail and he jumped out of a library window like a lunatic, and he had the whole relationship and he seemed like a normal person. There's so much more interesting stuff about him. With Dahmer, it's just all so dark and horrible, and the actual details of the crime, I mean, not like Ted Bundy was much better, but there's so much darkness in the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. I just didn't want to put myself in there. I felt like I knew enough, but I have heard amazing things about it.
Yeah, coming back to Brian Master. Now, I think Jason Watkins perhaps makes Brian Masters look a bit better than he might actually have been as a kind of as a kind of human being. Because I read a bit about him, and he's also quite an egotistical guy. He's portrayed quite sensitively in this, as he was as a homosexual himself. He wanted to sort of kind of get the message across that not all homosexual men are like deviants and murderers, and actually a lot of them have just very normal relationships. But when you look at his kind of bibliography, he's written about Rose West, he's written about Jeffrey Dahmer, he's written about a lot of serial killers, but he's quite arrogant about it. And whenever he was criticised for Killing for Company because people felt that it sort of portrayed Nilsen a bit sympathetically, and he, you know, it was sort of very obnoxious about why he didn't feel that was the case. You know what I mean? Like his subjectivity didn't come easily to him when it related to his own work. You know. But
he was such a good actor in it, though, wasn't he? Jason was such a good choice for that role. I think there's something about him. I think his eyes, this is going to sound awful. He's an amazing actor, but I think his eyes have just got such a darkness to them. He plays like really good, dark characters. There's something about his face. He's such an amazing actor, but I think he was brilliant in this. And his face was really good.
He's very good as Harold Wilson in The Crown. My wife has been inspired by the death of the Queen to work her way through The Crown, so I've been sort of watching it with her. And he plays Harold Wilson. He's really, really good.
I often think Jason Watkins, it's maybe a physical aspect, but it's also the acting ability. If we're comparing Nilsen to being the British Dahmer, then I often think that Jason Watkins is kind of the British Philip Seymour Hoffman, but without the heroin abuse. It kind of the acting ability and possible. They look a little bit similar-ish.
Yeah, they do. He looks like an older version. Yeah. He was amazing in it. And the bit at trying to find my notes of actually where I'd written, I loved it. There was a scene when one of the victims is giving his testimony. Which victim was it? Now look. I think it was Douglas Stewart. It wasn't. No, it wasn't Douglas. It was
Carl.
Carl.
It was Carl. Yes, and he's giving his testimony, and he's so like, you know, you can see that he's breaking inside as he's trying to give it, and you can sort of see Brian starting to realize what's happened, like what Des has done, and even though he's been speaking to him all this time, he's getting like first-hand experience from one of the victims, and it feels like it's really sinking in as that testimony is happening, and as like he's crumbling on stand. Loved that scene. It was so well done.
Yeah, really good scene. Yeah, he's great though. I mean, I think to your point, that's his, you know, to be able to convey that without having any lines, you know, he's just literally reacting to what's going on, you know, it's really, really good.
And all the scenes with him and David Tennant are absolutely amazing. The scenes when he's talking about, I think it's when Des is starting to tell him about, like, they've sort of got a little bit of a camaraderie, a little bit, like they're building, which sounds wrong when he's a serial killer, but he trusts him so much. And the whole scene when he's telling him about his grandfather, you know, the whole thing with his grandfather that started the whole obsession with death that he had. So when Des was quite young, his parents were divorced actually when he was quite young. And so he really relied on his grandfather. And then when his grandfather died when he was 6, and they talk about this in Des, that his mother didn't actually tell him that his grandfather was dead, and that told him to come in and see him, he's sleeping, and he was actually dead. And I think it really affected, not to have too much sympathy for Dennis Nilsen because he's a lunatic, but that it really affected him and gave him this massive obsession with death, and that he used to put talcum powder on his face, and he, you know, like he was just and it just did something to his brain, I think, that, you know, because like serial killers often have something that happens to them in childhood and that affects them, and that sort of triggers something in their brain. Not that I'm a psychologist, but from what I've seen, a lot of the things are triggered. Like, it's always, you know, everyone knows them. It's like setting fire to things, you know, doing torturing animals, abusive parent, dropped on their head. Effie's been dropped on her head, so I need to watch. She gets a bit, you know, starts setting fires to things.
Well, she's got the glasses now.
She has got the glasses. She's got the look. But yeah, I think that really triggered things into action. And apparently when he was in the police force, he was fired because he was masturbating in the morgue.
Yeah, I mean, they say that, but then apparently he did just leave because he was fed up of the homophobia. But I don't know. I have heard and read that he was obsessed with the morgue, and he used to go there all the time. And I could probably believe that he was caught
I could believe
wanking
that.
in the morgue.
Because that's what he did with some of the victims afterwards. Like he said he never penetrated any of them. And like obviously we know that he spoke to them. He kept some of them under the floorboards and he would speak to them and he'd dress them and put them in chairs and speak to them. And that's sort of where Killing for Company comes from, like the title, that he maybe was some of the reason that he killed these young men was because he didn't want them to leave.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. And because his grandfather had left and his father had left. And again, not to sound like Oprah, because we don't feel sorry for him. He's a lunatic. But that had some sort of psychological effect on him that maybe, you know, not wanting people to leave. And the death thing, I think he said as well that he liked the weight, like lifting the weight of them.
Yeah.
And they were so helpless and that they couldn't get away. And there's just so many, not layers to him, but there's just the whole death thing is so bizarre. And I did read somewhere, I've not been able to back this up, so we need to put little quotation marks. I've not been able to find it since then. I might have heard it on a podcast, but that he had, this is so dark, but he'd made a mannequin or a doll of himself that he used to have sex with or he used to masturbate on, and it looked exactly like him. But it was white, like it was, well, he was white, but it was like talcum powdered and stuff. So it looked like it was a dead version of him.
Wow.
And that's, I don't know if that's 100% true. Yeah, it's very bizarre. I've heard it once. I've Googled the hell out of it to try and find it. Maybe I need to go on the dark web. I don't know where that's going to take me. But I have heard that. I don't know if that's true. So please don't quote me on that, anyone. But if anyone knows, come and tell me at Mum's Mysteries and Murder, because I'd love to know if that's true. But it doesn't seem that far from, you know, what could have happened.
Do you think if he'd killed a victim and then been able to like perfectly preserve the corpse? I know we can't do that, but just imagine he could have. Do you think he would have stopped at that? And because again, it was just company. But then there were instances where he said he had like 3 bodies under his floorboards. So I guess not. But I just wondered if it was just that he just wanted that company and wanted someone there to stay with him.
No, it's, I do feel like there is a little bit of a sense of that. When he lived in Melrose Avenue, though, or Melrose something, I can't remember the name of the street, but that was a flat where he had a...
I always want to say Melrose Place.
Melrose Place. I know, that was my next one. That would have been a very different series. Oh, imagine, can you imagine?
It's been much better.
Heather Locklear, look out. But... yeah, so he used to burn the bodies in the back garden, and then he thought, like when he moved to Muswell Hill, that would stop him from killing people because he had nowhere to get rid of the bodies. But I don't know. I think a lot of it was to do with having people leave him. But I mean, how long can you keep a body for? There is that story about I don't know the full details, but someone that he was in love with this woman and she had cancer and she died and he broke into the mausoleum and took her body out and kept it for years and years and years. And he had made like silk. He'd used silk to like put over her skeleton and had created a woman and kept it for years and years and years, and her family didn't know about it.
Wow.
Like Norman Bates.
A little bit like Norman Bates, yeah. I should know the name of the man, but I can't think who it was. But that's a really famous one. But I don't know. I think it was partly that, but how long can body for? I mean, really.
I don't know. I've had this one here for a bit.
Here's one I made earlier.
So obviously this show focuses on the police investigation, and that's what I like as well. They don't show any of the murders. They don't go into a huge amount of graphic detail, kind of the murders. It's, again, I think tastefully done to be respectful to the families of the victims. Of course, it focuses on his arrest and the police interviews. So obviously we've covered Tennant and Jason Watkins, but Daniel Mays, who plays Peter J., the arresting officer, again, just an incredible performance. I don't think I've ever seen Daniel Mays be bad in anything. He's just so good. And again, so believable as this kind of overstressed police officer that just wants to put Nilsen away, but he wants justice for the victims as opposed to his superiors, who they were pretty much happy to go on 3 victims. He forced the issue to get to 6 and, still have the others that are unsolved, but you really felt he really cared for the victims' families. But he was also pretty well, like his relationship with Des as well. Like, so good.
Some of the scenes with them, particularly their last scene after Nielsen's been sentenced, and he goes to see him in jail, and he's like, if any other names come to you, will you write to me? And he's like, it's just like they don't sort of make it this big dramatic scene, sort of like overblown dramatic scene. It's all very understated. Like even the way Tennant responds, he's like, with complete conviction. I'll definitely do that. You know what I mean? Don't worry. And it's just like two pals, like, well, I'll see you later. And I think the fact that it's so muted from both of them, it's not this big sort of dramatic sort of strings and everything sort of scene, makes it all the more powerful.
Some sort of code for Johnny back.
Yes?
Mr. J. Well done. Went down to the wire at the end, didn't it? Must be pleased it's over.
If at any time in the future you remember any more names, please write to me.
I promise you'll be the first to know. I think the jury got it right in the end. Yeah. I don't think I'm mad. If you hadn't called me that day, it'd be 150, not 15. I could never have stopped.
Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, that was a great scene. I loved that scene so much. That was so well done. And apparently he met with, Daniel Mays met up with Peter J's family because Peter Mays he died the same year as Dennis Nilsen.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Isn't that a kick in the face?
Yeah.
But he was older, so haha. But yeah, I loved that he met with the family and spent so much time like getting into the character. But yeah, that was one of the best scenes. Like I say this a lot, there's a lot of great scenes, but that was really, that's exactly right. I think how it was so like almost underplayed, but it was so perfect.
I mean, I wonder if Daniel Mays has put on a little bit of weight specifically for that role, because everything else you see him in, he's pretty sort of slender sort of guy. And I guess to your point, Nicky's playing a kind of middle-aged policeman. He's in his second marriage. He's been a policeman for 20 years, so he takes it very seriously. There's a bit of outrage about the fact that all this murdering's been going on his team's patch, and they've had no idea because these guys are sort of in the margins. They're homeless, homosexual guys who just aren't missed, and there's this sort of outrage that all this is going on sort of on their watch. And then to your point, it's like, well, I'm not going to stand for it, and we need to identify every single one of these guys and get word to their family and get justice for them, and I mean, I think Daniel Mays is one of the most interesting British actors at the moment. Everything he's in, he's even that sort of one that he did on Netflix, I can't remember what it's called, but he's in Ibiza.
White Lines.
White Lines, that was great.
Yeah, I mean, even that. I mean, that could have been like fairly sort of. It could have been hokum, that right? Really, to be honest, in the wrong hands. But he's so good. It's
as you say, his just determination in terms of like the superiors effectively tell him to leave Kenneth Ockendon's alone, like just leave it. But he's so resilient, and he knows just the genius of the fingerprinting the pages of the A to Z.
Yeah.
And they find the partial print and identify, and that he's just so determined to get justice for the victims' families. It's not about punishing Nilsen; it's about getting justice for the victims' families, and it's so good, so well handled. Apparently, he won an award for the most cigarettes smoked on screen in a ITV drama for that year.
Oh my god!
Daniel Mays,
which I thought Tennant might have been in with a shout, but no, Mays smokes a little bit more apparently in that. So, but they were all herbal apparently, so it's all fun.
I gotta be honest, as a reformed smoker, watching Des, I could feel the old monkey climbing up my back because like the smoking in the pub, smoking in the office, smoking outside the court. You know what I mean? It's just those halcyon days where you could light up whatever you wear.
I think we can't really not. I know we talked about Tennant as Des, but we need to speak about his very much relaxed nature, but also his flippant attitude. And he has got some of the best one-liners that you've ever heard in terms of this show. And apparently that's exactly what Nilsen was like, and it's very much spot on. In terms of him being arrested, and when he's confessing, and he says, it's actually a relief to get this off my chest. And he's describing all these graphic murders, but he's got some beautiful descriptions in terms of the dissecting the bodies, and he apparently really hated that, and he would have to get absolutely hammered to cut up these bodies. And when the police chief asks him, well, why did you do it? And he says, well, it's just the dirty platter after the feast. And what an incredible description. But, having to get hammered to cut up a body and then dispose of it, it's just a horrible thought. But he genuinely seems, and as you've said, Marti, he's stark raving mad, but he genuinely seems that he wants to know why he's doing this. And, when he fires his lawyer, he says, well, look, it's the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this mess. So flippantly,
I know.
He's committed all of them, but he's genuinely looking for answers. Like, he doesn't really know why he's done this.
He keeps talking about getting to the truth, doesn't he?
Yeah.
All the way through, he's like, it's the only way we're going to get to the truth. But I found it quite interesting because, so Marti, you've referred to him a few times as a lunatic, and obviously his defense were trying to prove that he wasn't sort of mentally all there when he committed these murders, whereas the prosecution are trying to prove that actually he was fully in control of his faculties. They were premeditated murders. He knew what he was doing. To commit those crimes, it would be very difficult to prove that somebody wasn't mentally unwell in some shape or form, because if you're fully in control of your emotions and your actions and everything, you're not going to murder somebody and keep them around and boil their heads in the pot and all this sort of thing. I find it quite interesting because I read, I don't know if either of you have read John Ronson's book, The Psychopath Test, where he...
I've heard of it. Yes,
it's a really good read. It's really interesting because not all psychopaths are serial killers. But a lot of them run big corporations because they don't have any sort of empathy. That's a big part of it. There's no empathy, which is why a lot of serial killers are psychopaths, because they don't care about what they're doing to the person that they're murdering. They don't have any empathy, any sympathy or anything like that. And they're very narcissistic, which is, Nilsen is clearly quite narcissistic. And you see that especially in the scenes with Brian Masters when they're talking about his book. He refers to it as his book, and all this kind of thing. And he wants to, he wants to be, I guess, to sort of say it without saying it, he wants to be notorious and famous for his deeds, and he gets upset when the red top tabloid news get things wrong about him and all this kind of thing. And so I thought it's quite interesting whether, I don't know if Nilsen's ever been diagnosed as a psychopath or not. The fact that they sort of contend that he's killing for company because he's lonely isn't necessarily the trait of a psychopath, because they don't have any empathy and they're very narcissistic. They don't care about anybody else. They don't really need anybody else. It's all about them. So I thought it was quite interesting, try to prove that, the whole case against Nilsen, try to prove that he wasn't psychologically unwell when he committed the crime. And his defense is try to prove that actually he was, and because of the nature of the crimes.
He was mentally unwell. He was obviously not 100% there, wasn't he? Because normal people don't do that. But I think you're right. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was going to do in advance. Who was it? Ken Ockenden? Was that the victim? Keith Ockenden.
The Canadian.
Yeah, the Canadian tourist who was completely different to everyone else. He wasn't like a homeless person. He wasn't struggling. He actually took him sightseeing all around London and then decided to ask him back for a drink, and then he killed him. So he knew what he was doing. He was very blatant. He was very, not wanting to hide things. But I don't know. I think maybe just the childhood again had such an effect on him that had something to do with his brain. And he had something happen to him when he was younger, and he almost drowned, and he had a near-death experience, and he saw his grandfather, apparently. I take all this with a pinch of salt, what they say, but apparently he saw his grandfather and all that. And so there was also an element of drowning in all of his murders as well. So he strangled everyone, but he also drowned them. So I do wonder about that part of his childhood having such a massive effect on, who he became. Yeah. But obviously, I think he was not mentally insane but I do think the psychopath level on the test.
Well, I should read it. It's interesting. I mean, I think because, as I say, it's that we can... The fact that he even said about Ockenden, he said that he regretted that one, because he had, to your point, he had a good day with him, and that isn't, well, according to the psychopath test, that's not a trait of a psychopath. A psychopath wouldn't have any remorse about anything they've done. Whether it's firing 100 people from a business or murdering 15 guys and put them under the floorboards, they wouldn't have any remorse about it. But then he might be lying, because psychopaths are liars as well.
That's true.
You know,
but then
so
he did let a victim go as well, didn't he? He let Carl go after pretty much killing him and bringing him back to life, and then decided to let him go. So he's a really interesting serial killer, I think, compared to a lot of them. There's so many light and shade parts to him.
I mean, he let Carl go basically because Carl said he was going to come back. And there was one of the victims, and did they cover it in the series properly? I can't remember, because I've listened to a couple of podcasts about Nilsen, and I can't remember if they said that in the series. I don't think they did. There was one victim that he brought back to his flat, and the victim had an epileptic fit in the flat. And Nilsen called an ambulance and got the ambulance. The ambulance took him away to hospital. And the next day, the guy came back to the flat to thank Nilsen for calling the ambulance. And that's when Nilsen killed him. And you think, wow, like you've got... Is it because he wanted to do it? And again, with Carl, he resuscitated him effectively. Like, was it because he had like a twisted fascination with death and he'd killed Carl, but then brought him back to life so that he could, so that he could kill him again because he let him go? But was he hoping that he would return and then he could kill him again? I don't know.
Maybe like an element of impulsiveness as well. You know, I know that they tried to, like the prosecution, or they try to contend that he sort of planned and he premeditated a lot of these murders. But equally, there might have been an element of impulsiveness there as well. There might have been times when he might not have intended on killing somebody, but his sort of baser desires got the better of him, at the time.
And he's just panicked because they were about to leave. Yeah.
I think we need to give a shout out to Bleep, possibly the saddest dog ever, because she must have seen some shit going down.
And why did he name his dog Bleep? I mean, it's such a cute name.
Because she couldn't bark, which is something that was, because you hear her barking a lot in the TV series, but that was why she was called Bleep. She wouldn't bark. She let out like a little so they called her Bleep because it was him and his ex-partner flatmate that they got Bleep, and then obviously he took Bleep when he moved. But that's why
he had a lucky escape, didn't he?
Yeah,
a massively lucky escape.
But then why was he with him whilst he was? I don't know if he. Is that all he wanted, though? Like a proper partner?
Possibly.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's maybe letting him off the hook a little bit to some extent. You know what I mean? Because, we can only go by David Tennant's portrayal of him. And Tennant portrays him as fairly rational, normal to... apart from what he's done, when he's talking to the police. The scene when he's arrested is brilliant. When Daniel Mays and the other officer come into the flat and they get the smell, and he's like, I've just got to take a punt. Right, come on, don't mess us about. Tell us where the body is. And he's like, all right, there's one over there. There's one over there. You would maybe it's a sort of product of the time because of the way homosexuality was viewed in the 60s and 70s in the UK.
Yeah.
Maybe to your point, Nikki, if Nilsen was alive now, he might have been able to find companionship quite easily, and he may not have committed the crimes that he did. On the other hand, he might, regardless of where and when he lived, he might have done the same thing. It's a hard one to sort of.
He did say as well, though, that he wouldn't be able to stop killing, didn't he? That was the best place for him. But the whole homophobic thing, I think, I'm glad they touched on that in Des. Like they actually brought that forward a little bit, because that was such a big thing then. And with so many serial killers, like it happened with Dahmer as well. He had a victim that managed to get away in handcuffs naked, and some women called the police, and the police just marched the guy back into his death because he thought it was just a, in quotation marks, gay thing. And that, that happened with Des as well, with one of his victims that got away and went to the police, and they even went to the length of apologizing to Des for, coming to his house and questioning him. And it's just the homophobic, the whole thing with not only just the police, I suppose, because it's easy to just lug it on and say the attitude of the police in the 70s, 80s and 90s when it came to these sort of murders was pretty appalling. But society as well, I suppose, just, it's just a gay thing. And because they had no knowledge or education, the amount of people that were killed in that time and who could have been stopped in Des's case because of this attitude is just appalling. There was another case in the 90s, which doesn't seem like that long ago, or maybe because I'm old, but where men were being killed and left in a cemetery in the same spot.
Yes. I remember
Do you know
that.
the one I
Yeah.
mean? It was
Yeah.
Stephen, I can't think what his last name is, but that was an amazing series as well with
He was he not the grinder killer? It turned out
yes.
to be. He did that before,
Was
but
he, or am I getting confused?
kind of Stephen Merchant played him.
Yes,
in the,
yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. And they were being left in a cemetery, and
Yeah.
one was left out the front of his house,
Yeah.
and still police were just like, it's just they've taken drugs and they're gay, and it's just unbelievable that was still happening in the 90s, and that the police force was just not educated in this stuff.
I did like that as well. In terms of the way they handled, as you say, the homophobia in this series, because I think there's only one, and it actually comes from Leslie Mead. When she's talking about her ex-partner going missing, and I can't remember I can't remember the word she uses, and I'm not going to mention it, but it is a homophobic kind of word. And I like that Daniel Mays as Peter J. His reaction is almost like, what? Like, and he even says, like, it doesn't matter, about his. It could have been just he went back, and I thought that was quite well handled in terms of not making a light of it. But I wonder if that was true, and if Peter J. really was that forward thinking, or if it's just because it was made in 2020.
I mean, the thing is, like, we've all got, parents, we've all had parents and grandparents. And I mean, for me, really, a more enlightened attitude to homosexuality, like, in a sort of mainstream, more enlightened attitude, has only really came around in the last sort of 10, 15 in the West.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in the West, obviously there's been a lot of stuff about Qatar and the World Cup in the last couple of weeks and things. And I live in Dubai. I'm here to tell you that the Middle East is well behind. But the attitudes, so I remember attitudes sort of growing up. I mean, I'm not a homosexual kid, at all. But, I think had I been, it would have been very difficult for my father to accept that for quite a long time. And my grandfather who fought in the war, and you ever think about it, Dennis Nilsen was born in 1945. His father was a member of the Norwegian resistance who managed to go to Norway after the Germans invaded and found himself in Fraserburgh, of all places. So like for that generation's children, for any of them to be gay, it's just, they've just fought a war. You know what I mean? And, and I've just fought a war and you're gay? No, I don't think so. So it's been very, very difficult and a very prevailing attitude for a long, long time.
So you mentioned at the beginning, Marty, that you didn't think Nielsen was in the top 5. So, I mean, who are you going to have up there? Like Sutcliffe, West? I mean,
I've got some favourites.
Because, we're Scottish, so we'd like to have Nielsen as, it's all we've got. We're going to take him as number 1. But,
I do think Dennis Nilsen has a big part in serial killer history. I mean,
it's a favour here, Marty. We didn't qualify for the World Cup. You know what I mean?
It's very difficult to ask for a top. I mean, Bundy has to be up there. I know everyone knows Bundy, and he's a goodie. It's an oldie and a goodie. I'm very interested as well in Wayne Gacy. For the clown, it's just so horrific. There's so many horrific ones that stick in people's minds, like Rosemary and Fred, obviously. And how have I forgotten their names now? I've completely drawn a blank.
It'd be Ian Brady and Lyra Hindley.
Yes. I mean, they're the ones that stay in people's minds, aren't they? I think. But I do think Dennis Nilsen, do you know what? This sounds really weird, but I prefer him to Jeffrey Dahmer. I think he's interesting. Like in the true crime community, he has more layers to him and he's far more interesting, and he's very to the point and matter-of-fact attitude that he has, I think makes him far more interesting for people like me than someone like Jeffrey Dahmer, who I'm sure is just as interesting, but it's the personality traits and the behind, like what drove him to do this. I think that's what drives a lot of people in the true crime community to listen to these podcasts and stuff. It's not that physical killing. We're not interested in that. It's what is happening in their mind and what has driven them to do that. And he's definitely up there with the top few.
I think it's how these people are adopted by popular culture. And there's a big difference between the US and the UK. They in the US, there's been, you've mentioned a few, there's been loads of prolific serial killers that go down history. You mentioned a few already. You mentioned John Wayne Gacy, the Night Stalker, Dahmer, Bundy, Ed Gein, and everything, and they sort of become part of almost pop culture in a way because they'll start off as the movie of the week, and then years later it becomes like an Oscar or Emmy nominated performance for somebody. But because the UK is such a big comparison, it's such a smaller country, you know, like, I mean, I remember Maxine Peake and the actor, I can't remember his name, he plays Ian Curtis in 24 Hour Party People. He's a good actor, but they did a dramatisation about the Moors murderers, playing Ian Brady and Myra Hindley. And this was only about the mid-2000s, and there was a lot of pushback against it in the press before it came out, because they were still in living memory. And, you know, some of the kids hadn't been found. And you're thinking about, you know, like in America, it could be like less than a year later, they'd be dramatising some horrendous series of events. But in the UK, like, wait, when that sort of thing happens, it's like everybody kind of feels it. But because the US is such a big country, and how it's divided into states, and the states are all a bit siloed, although they're the United States, but they're all kind of siloed, and they have their own laws and their own ways of doing things. But in the US, you know, in the UK rather, we're like shocked to our core when we find out that a couple have been murdering children, or some, like a builder has been like having this incestuous relationship and burying his kids in the garden and all this kind of thing. Like, we can't believe it because of the nature of being Scottish or being English, or, you know, or being Welsh. It's like, well, we just don't behave that way. So when someone does behave that way, we're like completely outraged. But I think in America, they know that they sort of behave that way. Because, you know what I mean? They're like, so they're not all that surprised. They just see dollar signs when something like that happens. You know, it becomes a bit of an industry.
I mean, to your point, Greg, it was literally like 4 years after Columbine that Gus Van Sant's Elephant came out. Which is like the film. Could you imagine? I mean, I never in my life do I ever want to see like a ITV adaptation of Dunblane. Like, it would never happen. No one would ever touch that. And that's the difference, I think, because as you say, it's kind of, there are some things that have to be left, and I don't know, but it is a fascination. You know, we've had it with the ITV with Appropriate Adult with Fred West. You know,
that was amazing.
That was
He was
great.
amazing. But do you think when it's children? I think when it's children, it's just a bit more off the table, a little bit. No one wants to see it. No one wants to hear it. It's just, I think that's why Hindley stays in people's minds so much, because it was children. And it was so upsetting.
And I think, and she was a woman, where when it's a woman, it's a lot more unexpected, I think, when it's a woman, you know, because the whole kind of mother thing and everything, it's, people are a lot more surprised.
Like Rose West. I read the book that her daughter had written, and it was so horrific. It was an amazing book, and it was such a brave book, but oh my God, I needed palate cleansers for about 2 weeks after reading that book.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
What those children went through was unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure.
One of my last points, I would just like to say, could you imagine going into the job centre and Dennis Nilsen being your consultant as you go down to try, you're looking for work, and he's just sitting across from you? Like, Jesus.
As if things
so
aren't good
bland,
enough.
isn't he? You just come out and think, oh, well, he was the most bland person I've ever spoken to. I've got a fun fact for you about Dennis Nilsen. He actually apparently transcribed books into Braille when he was in jail, like hundreds and hundreds of books into Braille. Can you imagine? You're reading it, like I'm doing it with my fingers. You can't see my fingers, and thinking, oh, what a job to have.
Yeah. It's like, wow, Dennis Nilsen's touched this.
I'm not sure about that. That's like John Gacy, isn't it? John Wayne Gacy, who painted all the clown pictures when he was in jail. And but do you know what? Apparently, I don't know how true this is. I know of someone who knows someone that was a warden in the jail, and they said that he didn't even paint those pictures. He got the cellmates to do it, and he got all the money for it. Wow. So that's been sucked in if you bought one of those paintings for £1 billion thinking you've got weird John Wayne Gacy memorabilia in your house. Who would buy that? Would you buy anything from a serial killer?
I don't think I would. I mean, I'm kind of the same as you. I'm kind of fascinated by serial killers and things like West, Sutcliffe, you know, all the heavy hitters. I'm a big fan of stuff like that, but I wouldn't want to have like a portrait, you know, like Charles Manson had done or something. It would just, I mean, I know Manson never actually really killed anybody, but I don't think I would want that in my house. No.
Although
it's what you do, isn't it?
I did like the Guns N' Roses cover of the Charles Manson song "Look at Your Game Girl" on the spaghetti incident. You know, it's that's a pretty good song, I thought. But I wouldn't hang it on my wall.
No, it's got to be bad vibes, doesn't it? It's surely got. It's like buying a house that you know someone's been killed in, but you're getting it for a good price. You just can't do it.
Well, that's why apparently Nielsen's house, because of course anywhere else they would just knock it down, but no, because it's London and Muswell Hill, they have to. They've left it. However, that flat always goes for way under market value when it's sold, but they don't mention anything in the listings. They just there is a disclaimer that says if you want to know about this property, Google the address. And
I mean, you'd be straight onto that Google, wouldn't you? How could you live in a house where people have been tortured and buried under your floorboards?
No, they're not there anymore.
I know, but their spirit is there. It is cold in that house. That house is never getting warm. I am telling you now. There is nothing good going on in that house. That is just not for all the money in the world would I live in that house. I don't understand that.
Not even for a short commute to work.
No, not even at London prices.
I mean, they didn't mention quite a lot either about his music obsession. He was absolutely obsessed with prog rock and with Rick Wakeman. And his favourite song of all time was Oh Superman by Laurie Anderson. I don't know if either of you are familiar with that song.
I don't know that, but I'm heading to Google that straight after this.
Google that after this. It's quite a haunting little tune, and that was his favourite song, and he would listen to it over and over and over again. And all they mention in the show is he says that he let someone listen to Tommy by The Who for the first time.
Yes.
But I don't think he would have touched that. He was very much into his prog rock and really bizarre music, and he was obsessed with it. But never mind. But I guess that's just a little side note you don't really need to cover into the show. Probably one of my last favourite Des tales from his real life exploits was that just after he was arrested, he was in his cell and he was having a cigarette, and he asked the prison or police officer, where do I put the end? And he said, just flush it down the toilet. And Des said to him, totally deadpan, well, the last time I did that, you arrested me.
Oh, can we laugh at that? I think we can. I mean, KFC. Who is flushing KFC down the toilet? That is just crazy, isn't it? And also, big thanks to the plumber. How did the plumber's mind go from KFC to That's Human Remains? You've got a dark mind, haven't you, to go straight from that?
Might not have been, It might not have been his first rodeo, that guy.
Apparently, that was Nielsen's plan. I did read that somewhere else. That obviously it was during the evening that the plumber had discovered these, and Nielsen had said it was KFC. Plumber went away. Nielsen went down that evening and removed most of them.
Yes.
And his plan was to go and buy a KFC and eat all the chicken and chuck the bones down so they would find him. But he never got a chance to do that. And I think he was busy that day. And then obviously when he came home, he got arrested. So didn't get the opportunity. But yeah, that was his original plan, to go and buy a KFC.
That's interesting. There's a lot of KFC around serial killers. There is so much around like John Wayne Gacy worked at KFC and like owned it. And I keep going back to John Wayne Gacy. But apparently it is the most asked for last meal on death row is KFC. Yeah. It's kind of put me off KFC a little bit.
I've never had a KFC in my life. Never.
What?
Never.
I mean, if this doesn't make you want to go and have one, I don't know what will.
I'm a vegetarian now.
Oh.
Only in the last couple of years, but previously I've never had a KFC ever. Never. I don't know why. Always
Greg, you've had KFC, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I'm not. It wouldn't be my go-to fast food, to be honest. But yeah, no. Like my wife is, her family are West Indian and they love fried chicken. So So speaking about flushing food down the toilet, I just maybe remember I used to go out with this girl. And her dad's like, when we finished eating, instead of like scraping the plates into the bin, he used to scrape them out of the toilet and flush it away.
What?
Yeah, I swear down. I don't know. He just thought, well, why not? I guess he thought, just flush it away rather than chucking it, making your bin stink. Just flush it down the toilet. It wouldn't like flush like a chicken carcass or anything down there. But like if it was just if there was no bones in it, he used to flush it away.
That's super weird.
It's an X. Yeah. Of course, it's fucking weird. Flushing your roast potatoes and Brussels sprouts down the toilet. Jesus Christ. I mean, I know they end up there anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that is so weird. I mean, we're saying that's so weird when what we've just talked about, but that is kind of weird.
I was going to say, it's not the weirdest thing we've discussed in the last 2 hours, but
Yeah.
it's pretty weird. So, shall we put Des through our Culture Swally Awards?
Yeah, we should do. So I think you're familiar, Marty, with our Culture Swally Awards. So we give a little shout out to anything that we find interesting in terms of the terms of awards. So what have we got first, Greg?
So I wasn't sure if we were going to do the awards, if I'm honest, Marty. I messaged Nicky a couple of hours before we started. I was like, "I'm going to do the awards," and he's like, "Yeah, I've got categories." Marty's really excited about it. I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, I better try and find some." So the first award then is the Bobby the Barman Award for the best pub. So what did you both have for the best pub and Des?
Well, there's two. There's obviously the one the policemen drink in at the court when they're waiting for the verdict, and then there's the pub that Peter J and Brian Masters drink in a couple of times. So I'd rather drink in the one that Peter and Brian drink in. It looks nice and cozy.
Yeah, did you have Marty?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It does look cute, doesn't it? It's very English pub-like. Yeah.
Lots of wood and nice comfy seats and little stools, and it looks nice.
You can smoke in there, you know.
In the 80s?
Not now.
No, probably not. Probably not now. Okay, so the next award then. So Marty, I'm sure you're familiar with the actor James Cosmo.
No,
What?
I'm not.
Come on,
James
Marty.
Cosmo. What's he been in though? I'm not good with names.
Everything Scottish, pretty much. So James Cosmo is I tell you what, you might have seen him in. He plays, in Braveheart. You've seen Braveheart, right? So he plays Mel Gibson's best pal's dad in Braveheart, who gets his hand cut
that's
off.
broad. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I know who you mean. Okay.
Yeah. The best pal's dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen Trainspotting, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
He plays Renton's dad in Trainspotting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's
okay.
probably
I think
the
I know
best.
who you mean.
Yeah. You'd know him. As soon as you see him, you know
I've
him.
seen it a lot,
He's in
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in everything from like Trainspotting, Braveheart, Game of Thrones. He's in it. He's in everything. So our next award then is the James Cosmo Award, and we give it to whoever is in whatever we've just watched, who tends to pop up in a lot of Scottish things. So it's not that easy a one for Des, to be honest.
No, it's not that easy one for Des.
So who would you give the James Cosmo Award to for Des?
Do they have to be Scottish though?
They just have to pop up in a lot of Scottish things, which usually means they're Scottish, to be fair.
Yeah, usually.
I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention to all the background people. Can I just say David Tennant?
You can absolutely say that's why I have
pretty obvious. I mean, it's pretty obvious. There's a few people in there that do pop up in a lot of things, but not necessarily.
It's the right answer. I mean, Cal Mackinac, who plays Stephen Sinclair's dad, he's been in a lot of Scottish stuff. However, you actually forget how much stuff Tennant's been in. Like his early career, he's been in, Strathblair, Rabsy Nesbitt, taking over the asylum. He was in Parahandy. And even now, like he's mega famous and he plays Scrooge McDuck, It's
DuckTales,
yeah, he is. And he keeps coming back. It's Tennant, without a doubt, that wins it.
Yeah. He's awesome. Yeah. He's one of the best Scottish and I'll say British actors, I think, that we've got. Yeah. He's amazing.
And also just comes across as just such a nice guy. Like, you'd love to go for a pint with David Tennant, I think. Like, and there's not a lot of actors that, I don't know, like Stephen Graham's an amazing actor. I think I'd be a bit intimidated, like going for a pint with him. Like,
I wouldn't be able to understand him.
Yeah. Like, Tennant, I think you just have a right laugh, like, having,
he's in it.
He seems approachable, but he seems like really fun and like he'd have interesting stories at the same time and like really enthusiastic about everything you said. Let's go for chips. Yeah, let's go for chips. Yeah.
He would ask you how you are if you approached him. That kind of guy. Like
you feel like he'd be interested in what you were saying, and even if he wasn't that interested, you feel that he would pretend that he was interested. Which is sometimes that's all you need.
That's it.
We didn't mention, actually, she's not a Scottish actress, but Chantel Cresswell, who plays Louise Mead. I remembered her there when you mentioned Stephen Graham, because she's in This Is England. She's a great actress, really good actress.
Yeah,
she's going to be playing Colleen Rooney in the adaptation of the Wagatha Christie trial on Channel 4.
Is anyone going to watch that?
I'm going to watch it. Yeah, I'm going to watch it.
No, it's just going to be trash, isn't it? I don't want to know anything about the Roonies. I am so uninterested in the Roonies. I mean, there's lots of trashy people I am interested in that, no one else is interested in. I mean, like Rylan. I'll read an article about Rylan, but Roonies, no. He's just bald and annoying. He looks like a potato. He's good at football. I get it. They've got 1 billion kids and they just go on holiday. That's all I need to know.
Did you ever listen to Louis Theroux interviewing Rylan on his podcast?
No.
There's my recommendation for you. It is fantastic. I genuinely, I think Rylan's amazing. But as a person, because I listened to that podcast and that changed, because I hadn't really seen, because I haven't lived in the UK since 2007. So I've seen him in a couple of things and I just knew it's Rylan. But I listened to that interview and then I saw him. He was on Taskmaster New Year special a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. Love Taskmaster.
I just changed my opinion. That Louis Theroux meets Rylan podcast, absolutely brilliant episode. Fantastic.
Oh, amazing. All right. Yeah, I'll listen to that because I love Louis Theroux as well. Fun fact about Louis Theroux, he didn't even write that rap. Do you know what I'm talking about? Are you on TikTok?
Oh, I do know what you mean.
Somebody don't jiggle. I'm not going to sing
that's
it.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't even write it. Oh, my God. Yes. I was really disappointed when I heard that because I just watched him interview Stormzy. Look at me being all young and with the kids. And he had admitted, because Stormzy asked him, and he admitted that he didn't write it. I've never been more disappointed.
That's shocking. Oh,
it is shocking.
Shame.
Okay, our next award then is I don't know if you've watched this, Marty. There's an old, the BBC used to do a sort of anthology series. They did it for probably 30 years called A Play for Today. And there's one written by a Scottish writer called Peter McDougall called Just a Boys' Game about gang fighting in Glasgow in the 70s. One of the characters is called Jake McQuillan. So our next award is the Jake McQuillan Your Tease Out award. It usually applies when somebody unexpectedly gets the head stuck on them or gets punched in the face or something in whatever we've just been watching. I don't know what you had for this one, Nikki, because not a lot of overt violence in Des.
There's no violence in this. I mean, I sometimes look at Tease Out as kind of being like almost a retribution or revenge type award, like McCafferty or Tease Out. So I genuinely just put Dennis Nilsen getting found guilty of murder and being sent down. Like, that is your Tease Out. You're fucked, mate. Prison for the rest of your life. Like 6
life sentences.
I actually chose The Plumber's Wig because it's horrendous and it's very violent. I mean, I knew the plumber was coming and I knew what he was saying, but I just couldn't take my eyes off the wig. What was with that wig? That was not his hair, and that totally took away from the drama of the scene of having found bones.
Yeah, because the guy that plays him, Tony Way, he's pretty bald. So
find a normal wig. I know it's meant to be 83, but no one was walking around like that. I'm sorry.
Yes,
my God.
He's a diner rod plumber by day, and he goes to the Blitz Club at night. He gets his makeup on. He's there with the Spandaus and Boy George and Stephen Strange. He's a good actor, him. He's very good in that Afterlife with Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Yes, he is amazing in that, isn't he?
Yeah. Okay. Our next award then, this one that doesn't need any explanation. The Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing. What should you go for here? What should you go for, Nikki?
It's when Des is speaking to Brian. And he does say it was 15, it wasn't 17, it was 15. If you're going to get your info from the fucking red top fuckers, that's the red top fuckers is the line,
Quite was that when he was really annoyed because it wasn't like 100% exactly what?
Yeah,
that's what I've got as well.
Yeah.
There's only, I think, like one other instance. There's not a lot of swearing in this at all.
No, there's not a lot of swearing in it.
Which is good. It's family friendly.
yeah.
You do expect more, though. I did expect more because it's all police and, they're getting stressed out. And
I do wonder if it's because Nielsen thinks he's so intelligent that he's above swearing. And it's only only once, I think, he when he's losing it, he swears, and I think that maybe is possibly the reason. I don't know.
Because he's such a calm, like he prides himself on being such a calm, never loses his temper, sort of.
Yeah, even his reaction to the news of poor old Bleep being put down is a bit annoying, isn't it?
Yeah. He was pretty devastated about that, though, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, was he?
Yeah, Bleep was like his big love, wasn't he, apparently, and he was just really devastated, and it really hit him hard.
He probably just went back and did a drawing in his sad sketches notebook.
Yeah, probably covered his face in a bit of talc powder.
Yeah,
and lay down.
Probably cocaine's probably easier to come by in prison than talcum powder.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, a nice little drawing of Bleep with like hearts all around her and stuff like that. An arrow through the hearts. Right, so I'm really interested to know what you've both got for this one. The archetypal Scottish moment. So we always pick something that's just very Scottish. Like it's something that happens that's very, very Scottish in whatever we've been talking about. I'm really interested to know what you both had for this.
I couldn't think of anything for this one because I mean David Tennant is extremely Scottish in the whole thing, but like there's not really like a word or like a mention of anything particularly Scottish, so I struggled with this one a little bit.
I struggled a bit as well. You have Nicky didn't struggle.
Well, the only thing really, and it's the only thing because there's not a lot, because obviously it's set in London and obviously Nielsen's Scottish, but when he's describing, he's trying to remember Stephen Sinclair, and he says, last one was Scottish. He was saying how shite Scotland was in the winter.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
There wasn't much.
No, I mean, I was sort of torn between chain smoking and overt homophobia. Yeah, I think Nicky's is better. And then last one, our Sean Connery Award for who do we think won the production? It's got to be dead. It's got to be David Tennant. Right?
I mean, a big shout out to Daniel Mays, but it's obviously Tennant. I mean, how do you compare and compete? And I would actually argue, I'd go back and have a look, but I think Daniel Mays has probably got more screen time than David Tennant in terms of actor. But and Tennant was obviously sold on the fact that it was Des, but it's Tennant. He's just incredible.
Yeah,
it's very good.
He is amazing. Jason Watkins is pretty good as well. He's amazing.
He is.
But you can't really pick anyone else but David Tennant, can you? For that, he's so amazing. It's such a difficult role, and he's just so perfect.
Yeah, he's really good. So that was Des. Have you enjoyed being on the Culture Swally, Marti?
Yeah, I feel like I need to go and have a cigarette now because I've been talking about it for so long, and you need like a palate cleanser after you talk about things like that, though, don't you?
I know.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful. And if people want to get in touch with you and listen to Mum's Mysteries and Murder, where can they get in touch with you and where can they find the podcast?
We're on all the podcast platforms, so wherever you get your podcast. And we are on Instagram at Mum's Mysteries and Murder. So come over and say hi and tell me some facts about Des that I don't know or do know and would love to chat about.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, if you want to get in touch with us, you can follow us on Instagram at Culture Swally Pod, or you can follow us on Twitter at Swally Pod. Or if you've seen anything in the news you'd like us to look at, or any films or anything Scottish you'd like us to review, you can drop us a line on cultureswally@gmail.com. And Greg, we have a lovely website as well, don't we?
We do. You can find us at cultureswally.com, where there's links to all our episodes, links to our socials, some articles about, among other things, the Crankies at Scottish television. So come and have a look at the website.
And join us for our next episode next week, where we'll be covering Anna and the Apocalypse for our Ho 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 Culture Swally Christmas special.
Yay.
So we shall see you then. Thank you so much for joining us, Marti. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me, even though I'm not the Scottish half of the podcast.
It's okay. It makes it work. We're international. We get some downloads in Australia.
Oh, yeah, you are too.
Yeah, we get quite a few downloads in Australia, actually.
We got an email from a guy in New Zealand, didn't we, once? Remember?
It's not Australia, Greg. It's like
I know.
Us to England.
It's close enough.
It's next door, isn't it? It's not far away.
Do they accept New Zealand money in Australia?
Oh, I don't think they do.
There you go then. It's a different country. Right, thanks very much, everyone. Go check out Mum's Mysteries and Murder, and we will see you next time.
How dare he? Standing up there in that ridiculous suit, spouting those lies.
So you're saying that Douglas Stewart is lying? That you didn't try and kill him?
Yes, I did. But not as he described it. This is about absolute truth, Brian. Has to be, otherwise we don't get any answers.
You cannot possibly believe that what you put him through out there was justified.
What are you getting so agitated about? I'm giving you a one-all final act for your book. And like you said about the book, Brian, it's not up to us to make subjective decisions. We have to remain objective in all of this. Thus, it is up to the jury to decide whether I'm just bad or outrageously bad.